The moment my plane touched down in Manila, I knew something was different. I expected heat, traffic, noise, but what hit me first wasn't any of those things. It was the energy. There was something alive about the air itself, like the city was breathing and welcoming me at the same time. Stepping out of the airport, a security guard caught my eye. He smiled at me, not the polite, professional smile you get at most airports, but a warm, genuine smile that made me feel like I had been expected. I froze for a second, almost unsure how to respond. I wasn't used to strangers treating me with that kind of openness, that kind of human warmth. And that, I realized quickly, was just the beginning. Manila is chaotic, yes. But in the kind of way that feels alive rather than overwhelming. Brightly painted jeeps zipped past, each one screaming with wild colors and blasting music that made the streets feel like a festival. Street vendors shouted with infectious energy, offering everything from mango shakes to street snacks I didn't even recognize. Families sat outside their homes, chatting and laughing as if the entire street was one giant living room. And the people, oh, the people. Kids ran barefoot across the street, balancing on curbs, kicking makeshift basketballs, laughing like life was one long game. Everywhere I went, strangers waved, said hello, asked where I was from. Even in areas far from tourist spots, I felt safe. I didn't feel like a visitor, a stranger, or even a target for scams. I felt seen. Welcomed. Part of something bigger. I remember walking down one narrow alley, expecting to feel cramped or uneasy. Instead, a woman selling flowers waved at me, called out a cheerful, "Hello, sir," and handed me a small bloom with no reason other than kindness. I stood there for a moment, stunned. In all my travels, I had rarely encountered such small gestures that left such a big impression. And then it hit me, this wasn't just a city. It wasn't just Manila. It was an introduction to a country that seemed determined to surprise me at every turn. Every face I passed, every sound, every color was a reminder that I was somewhere different, somewhere vibrant, somewhere that would challenge everything I thought I knew about travel. Even the little things left me speechless. The smell of street food mingling with the ocean breeze. The chaotic symphony of traffic horns, vendors, and laughter. The sense that everyone was moving, living, celebrating life in a way I hadn't felt anywhere else. By the end of that first day, as I collapsed into my hotel bed, exhausted but exhilarated, I realized Manila had already done something most cities never do. It had made me curious, humble, and just a little bit awestruck. And I hadn't even left the city yet. After Manila, I flew to Cebu, expecting beautiful beaches, sure, but nothing prepared me for what I actually saw. As soon as I stepped off the plane and felt the tropical breeze, I knew this was going to be different. I took my first glance at the coastline, and my jaw literally dropped. The water, it wasn't just blue. It was surreal. Turquoise, crystal clear, almost glowing under the sun. It looked like something out of a movie, or maybe someone had cranked up the saturation in real life. I couldn't resist running straight to the beach. My feet sank into soft, powdery sand that felt impossibly perfect. The waves lapped at my ankles, so clear I could see tiny fish darting back and forth like they were performing a private show just for me. I remember thinking, this can't be real. I've been to beaches all over the world, but nothing prepared me for this. Then came Kawasan Falls. I had seen waterfalls before, of course, but stepping into the canyon felt like walking into another world. The water was a shade of blue I didn't even know existed. Cliffs wrapped in lush green vines towered over me, and the air was filled with the sound of cascading water, birds, and the distant laughter of other travelers. I was trembling with excitement, my heart racing as I climbed to the jumping points. I stood on a cliff, feet shaking, staring down at the water below. The drop was terrifying, exhilarating, and completely irresistible. And then the guide turned to me, smiling and calm, and said, "Don't think, just enjoy." Those words stuck with me. Don't think. Just enjoy. In a world where I was constantly analyzing, planning, checking the next destination, this simple instruction hit me like a revelation. It became the theme of my entire trip, to experience life fully, without overthinking, without hesitation, and to let the Philippines show me what real beauty felt like. Even the simplest moments left me speechless. Walking along the shores of Cebu, I noticed how the sun hit the waves just right, turning the surface into a glittering mosaic. Fishermen pushed their small boats into the water with effortless grace. Kids laughed and ran barefoot along the sand, chasing crabs and chasing joy itself. I kept thinking, I've seen beautiful islands before, but this is something else entirely. And it wasn't just scenery. It was the energy of the place, the way the environment and the people seemed to exist in perfect harmony. It felt untouched, alive, and welcoming all at once. I realized quickly, in the Philippines, beauty isn't just something you look at. It's something you feel. After Cebu, I traveled to a small island near Bohol, thinking I knew what local life looked like. I was wrong. Within minutes of stepping off the boat, I realized I had entered a world where kindness and warmth weren't just gestures, they were a way of life. I was walking along a quiet beach at sunset when a group of locals called out to me. At first, I hesitated. I didn't know them, and I wasn't sure what to expect. But they waved me over, smiling with that same unguarded friendliness I had noticed in Manila. Within moments, I found myself sitting on a plastic chair, joining their small beach barbecue. We shared freshly grilled fish, rice wrapped in banana leaves, and coconut water straight from the shell. Language was a barrier, but it didn't matter. We laughed anyway. Stories were exchanged through gestures, expressions, and broken English, but somehow, it worked. I felt like I had known these people my whole life. I realized that in the Philippines, connection wasn't about words. It was about presence, openness, and the willingness to share what little you had with someone you barely knew. The next day, I wandered through a village. Children ran up to me, shy but curious, offering small shells or trinkets they had found. Women working in their gardens waved, called out greetings, and sometimes handed me fruits I had never tried. Everywhere I went, people treated me like a guest, yes, but also like a friend, like family. I began to notice a pattern. In every city, village, or island I visited, the warmth of the people left a bigger impression than any landmark, beach, or waterfall ever could. One afternoon, a local fisherman invited me onto his small boat. I expected a quick ride. Instead, he showed me how to fish with his simple, handmade nets, teaching me patiently and laughing when I clumsily dropped everything. There was no expectation of money, no performance, no judgment, just generosity. Watching him work with such ease and pride, I couldn't help but feel humbled. The simplicity of their lives didn't make them less, it made them extraordinary. Even in busy towns, strangers went out of their way to help me. I got lost in a small alley in Cebu, and within minutes, a shop owner stopped what he was doing, walked me halfway to my hotel, and gave me directions, insisting I take a safe route. He didn't ask for a tip. He didn't sigh or roll his eyes. He genuinely wanted me to be safe. By the end of my time on these islands, I realized the Philippines had taught me something profound. It wasn't just the turquoise waters or towering cliffs, it was the people. Their smiles, generosity, patience, and genuine curiosity reminded me that the heart of a country isn't measured in landmarks or attractions, it's measured in how its people make you feel. I couldn't help but think, I've met millions of people around the world, but I've rarely felt this level of genuine human connection. And that realization stayed with me long after I left the beach that evening, watching the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of pink, orange, and gold. As I continued my journey, one thing became clearer than ever: the Philippines isn't just beautiful in its landscapes, it's beautiful in its people. Everywhere I went, I saw people facing challenges with a resilience and positivity that left me speechless. In a small fishing village, I met a woman who lived in a modest home by the shore. Every day, she battled the heat, the tide, and the endless demands of life, yet when I greeted her, she smiled brightly, offered me a fresh coconut, and joked with me as if the hardships of life were just minor details. Watching her, I realized that happiness here isn't about having everything, it's about appreciating what you do have. I saw children running barefoot to school over dusty roads, wearing worn-out shoes or sometimes none at all. Their uniforms were simple, but their laughter was rich. They played, learned, and dreamed with a joy I hadn't seen in so many wealthy cities around the world. I couldn't help but wonder, how often do I take the little things for granted? Even in bustling towns, people found reasons to smile. Street vendors shouted greetings with energy that was impossible to ignore. Drivers on motorcycles waved as I passed. In every corner of every city, life was moving, alive, and full of joy, even when circumstances weren't perfect. One moment that stayed with me happened in a mountain village. I was hiking along a narrow trail when a young man carrying a basket of goods stopped to help me over a tricky section of the path. He laughed when I stumbled, making jokes in Filipino that I didn't understand, but his kindness needed no translation. I realized then that this optimism, this willingness to help, was woven into the very fabric of daily life here. It made me think about my own life back home. How often do I complain about minor inconveniences, traffic, deadlines, a bad day, when I see people here smiling, thriving, and living fully with so much less? The Philippines isn't just a country that teaches you about sights, it teaches you about perspective. By the time I left that village, I wasn't just amazed by the scenery. I was humbled. I was reminded that true wealth isn't measured by possessions, but by joy, kindness, and the ability to face life with gratitude. And I knew that the lessons I was learning here would stay with me long after I left. In the Philippines, beauty isn't just something you see, it's something you feel. It's the laughter of children on the beach, a stranger offering a drink with no expectation, families welcoming visitors like old friends, and a quiet, unspoken warmth that stays with you long after you leave. Then came El Nido, Palawan. I had seen stunning beaches before, but nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to experience. The boat ride toward the islands felt surreal from the very first moment. As we glided over water so clear I could see fish swimming beneath us like they were floating through glass, I realized I had entered a place that seemed untouched by time. Sharp limestone cliffs rose dramatically from the ocean, like enormous guardians standing watch over the turquoise waters. The sunlight danced across the waves, creating patterns that shifted every second, like a living painting. And the air, it was clean, fragrant, and almost magical. There were no cars, no honking, no stress, just the gentle rocking of the boat, the soft lapping of waves, and the occasional call of a distant bird. I remember leaning over the edge of the boat, watching tiny fish dart under the surface. My heart was pounding, not from fear, but from awe. I kept thinking, how can a place like this even exist? When we reached a small, secluded cove, I stepped onto the sand and felt an almost overwhelming sense of peace. I've traveled to dozens of countries, stood in front of iconic landmarks, climbed mountains, and walked through bustling cities, but I had never felt anything like this. It wasn't just beauty. It was a profound stillness that made me feel completely present, completely alive, and completely grateful. I sat there for hours, watching the sun reflect off the water, the shadows of cliffs stretching across the sand. Local fishermen pushed small wooden boats into the sea, children ran along the shore collecting shells, and a soft breeze carried the faint scent of salt and coconut. Every detail felt deliberate, as if the universe had arranged this perfect moment just for me. It was the first time in all my years of traveling that I felt completely grounded. Normally, my mind races from one place to the next, planning, thinking, analyzing, but in El Nido, everything stopped. Time slowed down. I felt small, in the best possible way, and the enormity of the natural world humbled me. And then I realized something even more profound. The Philippines wasn't just about these jaw-dropping views. It wasn't just about turquoise waters, limestone cliffs, or endless beaches. It was about the way the place made you feel, the way it touched something deep inside you that you didn't even know was there. This wasn't a destination to cross off a list. It was an experience that changed me. It reminded me that travel isn't always about what you see, it's about what you feel, the lessons you learn, and the memories you carry with you long after you leave. Sitting on that sand, I thought about everything I had seen so far, the smiling faces in Manila, the turquoise waters of Cebu, the laughter of children in Bohol. And suddenly, it all clicked. The Philippines isn't just a country. It's a gift, one that teaches you to slow down, to appreciate, and to feel deeply. By the time my trip was coming to an end, I realized something incredible. The Philippines isn't just a country you visit, it's a place that changes you. It's not just the turquoise waters, the dramatic limestone cliffs, or the endless beaches. It's the people. The families who welcome strangers into their homes. The fishermen who share their catch without hesitation. The children who laugh and play with a joy that's infectious. Every smile, every gesture, every act of kindness added up to something far greater than sightseeing, it added up to a feeling of belonging. Even the smallest interactions left me speechless. I remember getting lost in a tiny town and being helped by a man who didn't know me. He walked with me for 15 minutes to make sure I got safely to the bus station. He didn't ask for anything, didn't act annoyed, didn't hurry away. He simply wanted to help. It made me think, when did simple acts of kindness become so rare in the world? On another day, I tried surfing and cheers. I felt like I was part of a community, even as a complete beginner. That's what the Philippines does, it invites you in, shows you patience, and teaches you that joy comes from connection, not perfection. As I sat on a quiet beach late one night, watching the stars reflect on the water, I thought about everything I had experienced, the bustling streets of Manila, the surreal waters of Cebu, the laughter-filled barbecues in Bohol, and the peace I found in El Nido. I realized that travel isn't always about ticking boxes on a list. Sometimes, it's about what a place does to you. The Philippines had changed me without me even realizing it. I had visited over 40 countries before, but this one was different. It humbled me, inspired me, and reminded me of what truly matters: kindness, connection, gratitude, and living fully in each moment. It reminded me that beauty isn't just something you see, it's something you feel. As my flight took off, and the islands shrank beneath me, I made a promise to myself: this wouldn't be my last visit. Some countries call you back, and the Philippines is one of them. It leaves a mark on your heart. So here's my question for you: if you could visit only one country purely for the way it might change you, which country would you choose, and why? Share your answer in the comments because I want to hear your perspective. The Philippines isn't just a destination. It's a teacher, a reminder, a place that leaves you speechless, and forever changes the way you see the world.